I'm David Cranfill, and welcome to the second Monday in November of Venture Call's Abilene Startup Community. Venture Call has a mission and a purpose of equipping and educating and encouraging entrepreneurship and entrepreneurship mindset. So here we are, and as you saw in the video, we're going to get to hear from Chelsie and Bart Herje. I don't know if I ever say that right. Close enough. On their venture into entrepreneurship and what they've been doing. They've actually have quite the story and have been involved in entrepreneurship even prior to the bakehouse, I would say. And so, like I say, they have a really good story. I think everyone will enjoy it today, and they'll get up here, share their story some. I'll ask them a few more questions, and hopefully we'll have some time for Q&A before we're done here at 1 o'clock. So let's welcome Bart and Chelsie.
Hello.
Hey, everyone.
Hello.
Okay.
Well, thanks for having us. Like I said, my name is Bart, and this is my wife, Chelsie. We have 4 kids, and we are from up north. We are new residents of Abilene, about 4.
We're about 5.5 years in.
5. So it all started in West Philadelphia.
Where we were born and raised.
I spent most, my time playing basketball outside of school. Does anybody? No one gets it. Some people get it. Okay, sorry.
No, we'll just start from the beginning of our story. We were told we had 40 minutes, so it needs to take longer than the 7 that we had planned. So. No, I am originally from Kansas. I grew up on a dairy farm in central Kansas, and so I always tell people that I've been training for this job my whole life because, yes, I did get up at 2 a.m. or 1 o'clock in the morning to go milk cows. My parents were very gracious, and I only had to do it on the weekends. And so
That's actually how we dated.
That is very true also.
I don't know why I stuck around, but I liked her a lot. I would go play football in college, and then I would get home from the games, and I'd come over to her house, and she'd already be asleep. I'd crash on the couch, and at 2 a.m. she'd come wake me up. Hi! So I always say, hell hath no fury like a woman getting squirted by a fresh teat at 4 a.m. in the morning.
And so I've done that. I've gotten up early my whole life, and it's just interesting how the events of your life and the things that you grow through kind of lead you into your future, and you don't even realize it in the moment, but it sure does. And so, anyways, that's kind of where I started from, and I baked with my mom growing up, of course, and learned all of the basics with her, and then we met in college and got married and moved to Texas. And so we've been in Texas for almost all of our 20 years. And so I went to college, got a business degree. I knew I wanted to work for myself and own my own business. And I always thought a bakery would be cool, have the bakery downstairs and live upstairs and kind of have that cute little Hallmark dream. But it sure didn't play out like that. After college, we lived in Fort Worth for a little bit, and he went to seminary there for about a year, and then we moved to South Texas, south of San Antonio in Pleasanton, and I started a little cottage bakery there, and just kind of sold to our friends and did some different things, and then we moved to Brownwood, and we were in Brownwood for almost 9 years, and I didn't do anything. I just stopped all my baking, and we had multiple different jobs. Bart's always worked for himself outside of the ministry, and had several different startup companies along the way. And we've always just enjoyed that kind of lifestyle where you can set your own hours, you set what you want to do and what you don't want to do for people, because we have learned boundaries along the way. You can't always say yes, no matter how much you want to, you just can't. And so we've learned a lot through those journeys and those different companies.
I always say I'm the laziest, hardest working person you'll ever meet, because I don't like working for other people. And I mean, even though you do eventually work for other people, you're still working for yourself, because people aren't going to hire you if you don't work hard for yourself. I've kind of learned. So.
Right. And so then we actually went back to help on the farm for a couple of years. That's where we were prior to Abilene.
In Kansas.
Uh-huh. And kind of with the goal of we would take over the farm and raise our kids there, because like you said, we do have 4. They're 13, 11, 9, and 7 right now. And it didn't work out quite the way we had planned. So we were actually on a mission trip in Mexico, and we met Norm and Angel Porman down there, if you guys are familiar with them or their dentistry here in town.
Wait, hold on.
Oh, wait, okay.
Let me back this up.
Yes.
Not we. Were you there?
I was in Mexico.
Okay. So we're in Mexico, in the middle of nowhere, in this barrio, like in this deal. We're gathering with some pastors in Mexico, and with John Arnott. I don't know if y'all know, but and it was this blonde lady, and I'm like, you don't belong here. And then in walks Norm. I'm like, neither do you. You know, like, what's up, Wedo? You know. So we started talking, and interestingly enough, my heart was always been into showing people the world through. I have a video production company, and so we go all over taking photos and videos and producing things for people, for marketing or for just story purposes. But the main goal was so people can see, because your eyes are a gate to your heart, and so if people can see and they can hear what missionaries are putting up with, what they're dealing with, that's what I was telling David before. It's like, a lot of churches have just like a little sign up that says, "Pray for Johnny," but then he's serving in Africa, and then whenever they see a video, it's like, "Hi, my name's Johnny. I almost died last night getting shot at." People are like, "Oh, okay, I'm going to pray for Johnny." So it's kind of a whole different scenario. But so that's what we met Angel Norm, and that's what kind of got us down here, because they needed someone that could work on the ranch but also do video and film. That's kind of a rarity. And so we said yes. We always say yes to following what the Lord has for us. And so we moved out here, and we were missionaries / entrepreneurs that didn't know a single soul, and we about starved for a little while. I'm also a welder, and if that wasn't for welding, it would have been a rough couple of years, starting out.
Yes, so like you said, we moved down here. We actually met them in December in Mexico when we moved our family in March over spring break. And so for the first year, he had just started his video production company, and so we did that for a whole entire year, blew through all of our savings, getting him up off the ground and starting life in a new place, and kind of came to the realization that maybe I needed to do something. And at first, it just started out as a little bit of something would be fine. And so actually 5 years ago, 2 weeks ago, 5 years ago, I started on Facebook, and I was just going to do Thanksgiving. We did some pies and cinnamon rolls, and it went really well. And so it was in January then of 2018 that Preenie Steakhouse actually found me on Facebook. And I knew of them, but didn't know them. And they called me and said, "Hey, we are looking for someone to do our dinner rolls." And they've been looking for someone for quite some time and had gone through several different things. And so by June of that year, I was making their dinner rolls and leasing a commercial kitchen out at Camp Barkley from the Pormans. And so I did not start as a cottage baker here. We had a very small house and even smaller kitchen. And with 4 children, logistically, that would have been a nightmare. And so I started there, and we did anywhere between 2,000 and 4,500 dinner rolls a week. And looking back at the process that we did then compared to what we do now it's vastly different. So it would take me 2 to 3 days to knock those out. This morning by 8 a.m., I had 1,900 dinner rolls made in 4 hours. And so we have increased our productivity and our processes, so it's really great. But that's where we started. And so within I think about a year and a half, then the Perinis opened the Gap Cafe, and I started leasing a kitchen in the back, and that's kind of where the business grew. I went out to San Francisco and attended the San Francisco Baking Institute, and the way Bart said it, we always say yes when the Lord asks us to do anything or walk into something. And along this journey, every door just kept opening. And so other than my time spent in San Francisco, I have 0 formal baking training. And so all of it is either self-learned or, I mean, really.
Well, let's pump the brakes. She's ever since I know her, this woman can cook. Like, you don't get this sexy by not eating. You know what I'm saying? And so she's always been, every year, except for this year, I don't know what the heck happened. Every year, for 20-something years now, I've gotten this cherry pie, and it's the best dang cherry pie. It just melts in your mouth, and it's just so good. You owe me one, by the way.
I did.
But she's always been a phenomenal baker, so don't sound like she just opens a can of whatever and throws in there. She's always been from scratch. We lived 45 minutes from the nearest gas station, grocery store, or an hour really. But so you have to kind of self-rely for a long time. And so she's always been an amazing baker. So anyways, go ahead.
Okay. Well, that being said, but there is a lot of extra things that go into baking. They always say baking is a science. I've learned more about that side of it since opening than I ever realized. I always heard that and knew that, but didn't quite fully understand or believe that. It sure is. It sure is. Lots of chemistry. But so outside of my time spent in San Francisco, all of it has been self-taught and just learning by messing up and trying again and researching and trying again. And which for me is a lot of the fun in it, because you can always do better at your trade or your skill. And as long as you keep failing, you're going to keep improving. And so that's kind of been what I enjoy. A lot of the whole process has been just messing up, burning things, throwing it away. It falls apart. It's too wet. It's too dry. It's all of the things. It's too cold outside. Now it's humid today. Now it's hot. Like this week we had 83 one day and 45 the next day. Well, that totally changes things in a baking kitchen. And so it, for me, has been that part of the challenge through the whole process has been really what I enjoy, fixing those situations and problems. But anyway, back to Buffalo Gap. Kind of jumped there a little bit, sorry. We kind of grew there. We went from just making dinner rolls and a little bit of business online through Facebook to now having a storefront. I wholesaled to the Gap Cafe for almost 4 years, and they retailed it in their cafe. And then I also had several accounts around town, some different coffee shops, and occasionally we would sell bread to the shed or something like that. So then in March of this year, well, the process to Abilene really started last year in about January of 2022. Every new year, we always sit down and we look at what we want to accomplish this year. We set out some goals. Where's our family going? What does our 5 and 10 year look like? And we really had come to the conclusion through prior conversation that we were about capped out in Buffalo Gap. Like, we were gonna have to have a bigger kitchen and more staff. My kitchen there was only 300 square feet, and I had 2 convection ovens and then a small little freezer. And so minus having maybe a night shift, we were about as big as we were going to get. And
It's kind of one of those make or break, like do it or get off the pot kind of deals, you know?
Right. So we started driving around Abilene and just looking at properties that were up for lease and different things, looked at several, and just landed on the location we're at now is at 4150 South Danville. It's where the Flip and Egg used to be. And knew we had a lot of work ahead of us and a long journey ahead of us. So probably in March or so last year, we signed our lease and totally remodeled. If any of y'all have been in the store when it was the Flipping Egg and now as the Bakehouse, it's completely different. Most people don't even believe us when we say, yeah, this used to be the Flipping Egg. And they're like, what? Completely redid it, tore walls out, increased the original kitchen size, of course, repainted and did lots of major things. Totally rewired the whole building, which was a lot more than we had expected when we were signing our lease. And those are part of the things I think in entrepreneurship that it's going to strengthen you to keep you moving forward. It's all of those unexpecteds. Like I think we had budgeted maybe $5,000 or $6,000 for electricity, and our bill at the end was $26,000 for electric. That was just a small portion of everything we did. So some of those things, those challenges that you don't see for entrepreneurs, they come all the time. It's the things that you don't see. And you can plan and plan and plan and budget, and then something breaks down or it doesn't work the way you thought it was going to. I still have an oven that doesn't work. And we paid $16,000 for it. And it's sitting there.
I just have to get on top.
Well, we don't know that it's that easy.
Hot wires, some, like starting a car, and seeing if it works. None of the electrical companies will do it. If anyone's an electrician, you want to,
Anyways.
It's one of those things.
But so we had a lot of unexpected things through the last year. It took much longer to get financing than we ever imagined through COVID and all of the new small business administration rules that came along. And so we were supposed to open in September of last year of 2022. And that's when we got funded, was in September of 2022. Mm-hmm. So we pushed our contractor and we said, you have to get this done as quickly as possible because we have 3 months and we start making payments on this loan. And so they did. They worked very hard. We opened in March then. March 14th was our opening date. And to say we were not ready at all. We grew 1,000, over 1,200% in 1 week. So we closed at the Gap Cafe. We were shut down for 1 week to move equipment and plug it in. And we practiced. We had, 2 days? I think I had
I like how you say we moved equipment. I like... Yeah.
He moved all my equipment. And I had all of my bakers in our kitchen for 2 days before we opened, which is insane. And so within 7 days of shutting one door, we opened the next door and we grew by 1,200%. I learned, so this is side note, last week at the March of Dimes, we had this big poster up and it said Chef Bart and Chef Chelsie, not a chef.
I was Chef Boyardee.
So when I say we, he is my right-hand man in all things building, moving, fixing, encouragement, and my kids and our kids. And so he's had to step up in this whole process and even put his business on the back burner just a little bit to fill in, because I was a stay-at-home mom for all those years before, and so he's filled in. He does it all. He fixed breakfast, gets him to school, picks him up, all the things, and so for sure couldn't have done it without him. So when I say we, it's my backup man. He does not bake. But so I learned so much about.
But I can make a mean coffee. If y'all ever come down, I'm in there. By God, I'll make you a Salty Bart. Just go in there. All the girls know how to do it. And if I'm there, you pay $5 extra. I'll stick my finger in there, and it makes it 2 times sweeter. So I'm just saying, I can make a mean pot of coffee.
Right. And so, anyways, lost my track. Anyway, just growth and expanding, changing all of our recipes to meet new quantities. The extra hours that we spent at the shop just so that we had enough to put out the next day. Abilene's response was incredible.
Awesome
It's
people.
just been phenomenal, and it's everything we hoped it would be and so much more. I have an actual pastry chef. She's the only educated chef in our shop, which also testifies to just the talent and the ability of the people around who you surround yourself with. What their capabilities and abilities are is probably one of the most important things. When we were walking into this, I told the Lord, I said, I won't lose my family, and I'm not going to struggle with employment for this. And he has held fast and held true. I don't want to get emotional.
But whenever all the help wanted signs were up a couple of years ago, or last year, and still to this day, people are needing help. Man, we have a jam up team, and that's like if you go to our reviews, one of the things besides great food is that you'll see is amazing employee or
our customer service.
Yeah, the ladies up front, they're awesome, and so and even in back, everybody that we have hired that is stuck around, of course you go through turnovers. I mean, it's just a business, but man, they're awesome.
Yes. And so the Lord's just brought me so many key people that I didn't know I needed before I even needed them. And so he's held his end of the deal, as he always does. Sure. But we do have a pastry chef in the back, and she's just been phenomenal with ideas and coming through on just all of the different variety we have. We have more variety now than I ever had before. I think in Buffalo Gap, we probably had between 15 and 20 items that we rotated in and out. We have 40 to 60 items now that we rotate in and out, and we are constantly changing flavors. We have a base menu that we always have, and those are our most popular and our top sellers, but then we change flavors and items every 2 weeks. And so there's always something new for our regular customers, and we hear time and time again, I love coming in here and seeing what the new things you have. And that's what makes it fun for us as bakers, is not just being in the grind doing the exact same thing all the time. And so we love to be creative and actually use our talents and our knowledge and our abilities to create new things. I always joke around, Bart is an artist of the video and editing and capturing photography and different things. He can also draw as well. And then people are like, are you artistic? I'm like, it's a different kind of artistry, but still getting to be creative in what we make and what we create is probably one of the best parts. I was just talking with the staff this morning about items that we're going to have for the next 2 weeks, and just getting to go through the flavors and different combinations. And do you think Abilene will like that? Do you think they won't like that? How did that go last time? And just some of that fun stuff that we get to try and get to do. Abilene's just been super receptive of. And one of the best compliments that we get time and time again, and we just actually, 2 weeks ago, a lady came in and she said, I've been in Israel for the last 6 months and traveling in Europe, and I feel like I just walked into a European bakery. And that's probably one of the best compliments that we can get, that no, we weren't trying to replicate a European bakery, but I have set it up to set us apart from an American bakery where we have cupcakes and we have cake occasionally, and obviously we have pies, but we have so much more that most American bakeries don't have. And so between viennoiserie, which is the laminated croissants and Danish and all of that, and then artisanal breads that really you can't find, and in most bakeries in the United States. And so that's kind of, I guess, that's our story. I think that was a little longer than 7 minutes, but that's kind of how we got to where we are, and a few of the challenges that we faced. I will say, we don't have family that lives here, and so one challenge that we have had to figure out is our children and how to incorporate them in our business and not have them feel left out and neglected, and that you can so easily become a slave to your job when you're an entrepreneur. You can work endless hours. You can work 24 hours a day at your job and still feel like you never catch up. And so a couple of ways that we have approached it is on the weekends, our 13-year-old and our 11-year-old, they work in the bakery. And so if you guys have been in, Noah, he's our oldest. He cashes out customers and he fills boxes, and it's such an amazing experience to see him grow and learn and get those skills, but also learn how to communicate with adults and how to handle rude customers and how to be rewarded for his work. He gets to keep his own tips and he gets a paycheck. And so, and then even on the parenting side, we get to teach him how to use that money. And so it's been really neat. Our little ones help clean the tables and take out trash and do all the things, so they get to see what mom does all day long and why she's gone and why she's always tired. And so, but we had to learn how to do that and learn how to incorporate them and involve them. We've had them back in the kitchen frosting cinnamon rolls, or we have them bagging up rolls, or doing whatever they can do to be part of what we're doing and not just watch from the sidelines. He travels a lot for his job, and so there are days we'll all go in until 5:30, and then I race home and get everybody up and ready to go to school, and then get back to the shop. And so it's been a juggling act for sure of how to hold it all together and keep it all in balance, because I feel like even if you're not an entrepreneur, if you have a job that requires a lot from you, it's hard to keep it all in balance. How do you not work too much? Make sure you're a good parent, make sure you're a good spouse, keeping everything in line and in order. I think it's one of the most challenging things, especially if you love what you do. Now, if you don't like what you do, it might be real easy to leave the job and leave it all there. You don't show up early, you don't stay late. But if you do love it, I think that's a very big challenge, just to keep it all balanced and put together. So, but anyways, I think if there's any questions, David, I'm sure you have some questions.
I want to know how many languages you speak, Bart. More than one?
No.
Oh, I thought maybe
Couple.
you seem to know Spanish and things, but okay. And I've got to do a kind of a fact check and just correct. I think it's a testimony to what a go-getter and how busy you guys are with everything and all the things you're juggling. But you mentioned that you got financed in September of 2022. That would have been a couple of months ago.
Yeah, that was September.
2021, so it took them several months.
Yep.
So your start was March of 2022.
Yeah,
Correct.
we turned in the paperwork the day after Valentine's Day for the bank. And
In 21.
Yeah.
in 21. And we didn't open up to 20. So it was a hard one.
I've got some questions, but I think with our time and where we're at, I would rather just open it up to everybody. I'm going to repeat your questions so we capture it on the video. So I'm not hard of hearing necessarily. I'm just going to repeat the question, and then you guys can have at it. So, yes.
Of all the things that you have learned, what would you change against doing again?
The question was, of all the things you've learned, what's something you would do different or change from what you've learned?
Stay and fight a little. When personally, I have a 2-year itch. 2 years and I'm gone. So I just stayed around and fought a little bit for what I wanted. You know. Yeah. Had a TV show produced in 2008. We shot 6 pilot episodes. Didn't know a thing about it. Had producers calling from all over America, wanted in on it. It's a really cool show concept. And I had to fundraise raise through sponsors $125,000, and I was really pumped when I got $75,000 spoken for sponsors, and then I was like, oh heck, that's halfway, you know. And so I kind of just did a calf rope, threw my hands up, and walked away. And so if I would have kept on that, then I would probably be producing a lot bigger stuff right now. So yeah, that's what I've done.
If I were to do anything different, I don't know. I don't know that I would do much different. Sometimes I wish I had more education. After I graduated from college, I had a business degree. I didn't have a vision for what kind of business. I had an idea of, okay, a bakery would be fun. But I never went to culinary school of any kind. And so sometimes I wish I would have done that differently and just pursued it. We didn't have necessarily people around us giving us that direction or that encouragement or that vision, pushing us into that kind of vision. So if you guys have young people around you, push them towards something, encourage them to go after it. And if they change course, they can change course, but don't flail around in the deep water. But so sometimes I wish I would have had a little bit more of that. There would have been less failure along the way, maybe a little bit more rapid success.
So the question was, there's a wisdom out there that you need 3 different streams of revenue, and has that been the case for you, and what are those? Is that correct?
Okay, so for the bakehouse, well, for us personally, we have multiple streams of revenue just in our family finances. But for the bakehouse, there isn't a whole lot of diversification. We have retail and we have wholesale. I do still have wholesale accounts and pick up more wholesale accounts as they come. But I really think there may be a whole lot that is true to that. And I think the more streams of revenue, the better. I mean, it's like putting all of your eggs in one basket. But if you can do what you do really well and create a demand for it, at the beginning of your business, you don't have to have the 3. It's something that you can grow into and progress in as your business grows. And that also would help take some pressure off of just getting out of the gate and not thinking about, well, I have to have this, this, and this, or else my business isn't going to make it. Do one thing well and then add something, and then do 2 things well and then add something. Either that or bring people on board that can help you with it.
Go ahead. I won't say nothing. Did anybody go to the fair? Anybody go to the rodeo? The rodeo? No one went to the rodeo? No, never mind. You wouldn't be as cool then, because inside the VIP at the rodeo, you'd see another stream of or revenue that I saw a niche, and I filled it. I haven't really marketed it yet because of I gotta go see a lawyer and do a bunch of paperwork and stuff. But I I found a 2-horse single inline 2-horse trailer, and I made a bar out of it. And I have another bar that I'm working on right now. It's called the Salty Saloon, and it was featured over at the fair this year. But just stuff like that, you know, you see something, and you're like, well, I could do that. And then, I mean, I'm not giving up everything, but if I could go drop it off and make a couple of dollars, then holler. I mean, I'm on it.
They really, I've had the privilege of working with them and talking to them outside of even this event, and they have a vision of just salty everything. So, and I imagine there's more of a story behind why the salty, but.
Yeah, so he was one of my best horses I've ever had, and it was a roan. His real name is Einstein, and he was a little fart. But I would go get him any time I used him, or I needed a horse to use to work off of to rope in the arena or outside. I go get him, but every now and then he'd get a little salty, and he would let you know by gently placing you on the ground, and you know, so we called him the old Salty Saloon or Salty Roan, and so whenever I was naming my production company 7 years ago, 6 years. 7, and I was sitting there looking outside the window at Einstein. I was like, Salty Roan Production, like, got a ring to it, don't it, babe? And it stuck, and then she was like, what am I going to name the bakery? And I was like, I don't know, the Salty Roan Bakehouse. And just joking around, she's like, okay. So, yeah, it kind of stuck. And now they call me Old Salty in the Western one.
Yeah.
So it kind of stuck.
Building a salty empire.
Yeah.
One roan at a time.
Come on.
We had another question over here. Paul?
We went into the store once, and it was lunchtime, and we were looking for sandwiches. And I presume you don't have any. We didn't see any. But, you know, I wonder if that would enhance your business to take some of the bakery products and put some meat on them or something else.
Any
Sure.
consideration for lunch items like sandwiches to increase your offering was
Sure.
the question.
We actually do have a lunch menu. I imagine the day that you came in, we either had sold what we had in the case or didn't have them out quite yet, either one or the other. But we do, it's a very small menu. Right now, we actually have beef stew with focaccia. We have a chicken salad on either a croissant or in a salad.
Best chicken salad you ever eaten either.
We have a turkey wrap, and we have grilled cheese on our Texas bread. And we'll hopefully be adding a couple of things as it gets colder. So we do have a small lunch menu, but yes, we could increase that, and that's a good idea.
Yes, your question. What's your favorite thing to bake? And then can we follow it up with what's your favorite thing to eat? Would that be the...
I get asked that a lot, and I don't know. I really enjoy making pies, just probably because of the nostalgia for me. It takes me back to the farm with my mom all those years. But I will answer what's my favorite thing to eat is the cinnamon roll. I could eat that every single day. I don't know why. It's just, I don't know.
And that cinnamon roll is it's a pretty old recipe, and when she started this 4 or 5 years ago, she worked and worked and worked because there's this old, is it Amish? Mm-hmm. Is it Amish restaurant community about an hour down the road from us, and people went all over there and got like a 6-pack of cinnamon rolls, and that's what they're known for. And she could never make it just like them. And so she worked and worked and worked, and she got it pretty dang close to them. My favorite thing, and it's not on the menu, but you can order it, is a banana blueberry coconut cream pie. It is.
I wonder if dialing in the cinnamon rolls a little tighter, is it the Bart finger in it maybe? Would that get you there? Karen, yep. How do you handle the perishable aspect of your product?
Thank you for the compliment on social media. That's all Bart. You can actually tell when I post things because he calls me. He's like, can you take that down? Or you should have done all these things different. Okay, so that's one thing that I do use to separate us from other companies is that our foods have a very short shelf life because we don't use preservatives. And I think, one, it keeps it fresh. People used to eat fresh food all the time, and we don't anymore because you can buy a loaf of bread at the grocery store and literally it'll sit there for 2 months and never mold. Our bread will in 4 to 5 days. And so, one, that helps us with customer retention because people come back to get fresh food. And two, it helps the flavor so much, I think, by not adding all of those. I feel like there's a wave also in the food industry. People, they don't want food with chemicals or preservatives, or they want fresh, homemade food. And that is what we are here to offer our customers. And so that's one thing that I have used to separate us from maybe some other places. I mean, we could always add a little bit more salt, but we keep all of the preservatives out. Yeah.
Last question, Tim.
With such a big British influence in the Abilene Buffalo Gap region, do you have any vision to add Cornish pasties to your daily? Huh? I figured you might. Cornish pasties on the menu.
I'm going to have to be honest. I don't even know what that is.
I was going to say, across the pond, there's requests for a
Cornish?
Cornish pasty.
pasty.
Google it.
Cornish pasty. Yep.
It'll be a hit.
Okay. Yes, I will take the education. I have had requests for meat pies that I guess are popular. Yep. An Australian friend asked for those. And I did just get a request today for a mincemeat pie for Thanksgiving. So
It is not beef.
it is not beef?
It is not beef.
Okay. I don't think we're going to do it.
Or mincemeat pie.
It's a mincemeat pie.
Was that American?
It's just fruit?
Yeah.
Just fruit. Okay.